Hey guys, with Moribito Part 3 posting today, we have reopened all our support levels over on our Patreon page. So if you want your very own Animerica Unlimited review, or even an entire season of 25 the hard way, go over to patreon.com/Animerica Show and check out all the details. But for now, back to the review. Hello and welcome back to Animerica Unlimited. I'm Ryan.
And I'm JT Kamp. Man, it's really been a while since we've done one of these, huh?
Yeah, at least a month, maybe more. I don't know.
I mean, I can't help but notice that you're looking like you lost a bit of weight. Have you been working out?
No. I actually have a massive tapeworm that's slowly sucking the life out of me. Thanks. And it's completely inoperable, too. So you think before you try to compliment someone next time, you insensitive prick.
Could I borrow it?
Anyway, Moribito. Episode 17 or something? Let's go.
I mean, you look really good.
Can you borrow it? You fucking can't.
It's nice here. Calm and peaceful.
Hey, look, Will. The watermill is going to burn.
Will it be exciting?
No.
Good.
The episode kicks off with Buckleberry Chan arriving at the watermill alone, followed by all the king's men. There is immediately no tension, as common sense would tell you that no relevant characters are going to die at any point in this show. Meanwhile, in an unestablished and nameless town somewhere...
Prince Chagum.
Cut!
I now know what sort of being possesses you. I have informed the Mikado of my findings as well. So you see, Your Highness, there is no longer anyone who wishes to harm you. You have my word.
What a convenient load of garbage.
Convenient? I'm sorry, Balsa, but nothing about the pacing of this series is convenient.
First, you send a squad of assassins out to kill him. And then the second things change, you're asking him to come back home.
Yes, and? Do you have a point here? They realize that they made a grave error in trying to kill the prince, but now they want him to come home where they can protect him. Sure, Shuga is wrong, but once again, Wood Cunt is far less helpful than she easily could have been.
The prince is no longer in need of your services. You will be exonerated of any crimes and given a substantial reward for your work.
I did it because his mother begged me to keep her boys safe from you people for the rest of my life. Which means the only person who has the power to rescind that agreement would be the second queen. Even if the second queen herself came here for him, I couldn't let him go.
What? Is it your goal to be as unreasonable as possible with everyone you come across? Why are you less sympathetic and understandable than the damn villains?
I have no idea what sort of knowledge you and your scholars have managed to glean in regards to what's possessing the boy. But there are compelling reasons as to why I cannot send him back to the palace.
Guess what? It's not that compelling.
Yes, these famous reasons. You know, I don't even care what these reasons are anymore. When you say the same cryptic, vague thing for 17 straight episodes, you give the impression that you're never going to explain them, So your viewers give up.
Shuga tells Grit Boy that his brother is dead and that the palace will grind to a halt without him. He also says that if Balsa doesn't let him go with them now, that he'll send a regiment after him. See, this is the point at which Balsa could actually become a hero and present the argument, which we already know to be true, that the prince mustn't go back to the palace. Then you can have Shuga disregard what she's saying and threaten her with a regiment of soldiers. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the villains are supposed to be wrong in spite of reality.
A good villain has a solid basis for what they want to achieve, but their means of achieving should be somewhere between misguided and abhorrent. They should be stubborn and unwilling to accept the truth that contradicts their goal until the very end. But in order for that to work, they have to actually be presented with the truth when it matters. This is the time for Balsa to tell Shuga exactly why the prince needs to stay with her instead of this needlessly oppositional, stubborn idiocy. She is acting like the villain, like she has no legitimate reason to do what she's doing and not the other way around. Why do you suck at everything, Moribito? Why?
The real issue here is...
Shut the fuck up, Tonda.
Anyway, Plankface jabs Shuga with the blunt end of her spear right in the ovaries, a blow so devastating that it apparently knocks him right the fuck out. I'm sorry, what? That is 100% not how it works.
What? Did she shut down his heart? Pierce a lung? Both lungs? People don't just pass out from a single gut shot. Hell, if she had shot him with a gun, he still wouldn't have immediately passed out. What is this poop dump?
I don't know. Let's try it. Beaver King Charlie breaks into the watermill as the ninjas approach. Somehow they don't notice this happen at all, and even more somehow, they're completely unable to detect him, don't enter the watermill or even try to open the door, and just leave. The best soldiers in the kingdom, ladies and gentlemen!
Balsa runs into Tonda again, and Prince Stone Slab finally has enough of Balsa's emotionless douchery.
The first prince has passed away.
But that means...
I realize that, but there's more important things to worry about now.
More important things? What could possibly be more important?
I told you, Chagum, I'll explain things later. You'll just have to accept that for now and go with Tonda.
Why? Why does he have to accept that for now? If I was this kid, I would put my foot down and refuse to take another step until she told me exactly what was going on. His fucking brother died, you unbelievable bastard!
Oh, there you are, Doctor. Thank God. My friend Will was in a horrible accident. Is he gonna be okay?
Yes. I will prep him for surgery immediately. And don't worry, I'll explain everything to you just as soon as the procedure has been completed.
Okay.
Anyway.
Wait, what?
Well, Mr. JT, we did everything we could, and now your friend Will is dead.
What the hell happened? You said you were gonna save him!
Oh, okay. Don't worry, I'll explain everything to you just after the autopsy. Thank you, motherfucker.
What the hell? What?
Yes. I'll explain everything to you just after the funeral. Yes. Stop looking at me like that.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone.
After Balsa leaves Chagum with Tanda, both she and the godlike incompetent morons converge on the watermill. Dick Chuck, in a moment of inestimable idiocy, decides to outshine them all by burning down the watermill in order to prevent Balsa from coming back, and he's so massively moronic that he doesn't even retrieve the maps clearly laid out in plain sight. There are not enough words for just how dumb this is.
Meanwhile, Shuga spends the rest of the episode dying of dysentery. Seriously, did she manage to rupture every single internal organ he has? What is wrong with you?
Having successfully prevented an actual fight and therefore any entertainment, everybody heads out ashamed of themselves, while Shuga collapses and presumably succumbs to his complete lack of wounds. Several hours later. Seriously, what is wrong with you?
Well, much like Balsa is made of wood, I am made of paper. Extremely sensitive tissue paper. It is my curse to bear. Doesn't anyone see how much pain I'm in? Notice me!
Wow, that is pretty hypocritical of you. What is? Well, I mean, all we've been doing so far is whining and bitching about how much this sucks for us.
Don't start with that now.
Start with what?
Making sense. We are long, long past that.
Jesus Christ. Oh.
After Balsa threatens a poor innocent homeless man because, again, hero, Chagum demands information once again.
I would like to return to the palace. I need to find out what happened to my brother. If I discover that Chagum has indeed perished, then
Not a chance. I can't allow you to go back to that place.
For various reasons, damn it! The reasons are various! How is this not making sense to you, dipshit?
Prince Chagum, how did he appear?
He bore no trappings of royal birth.
So I can't be sure it was him. We should stay here and investigate only this town forever.
Anyway, Shuga, who has somehow managed to finally recover from his mortal wound, talks about Chagum's sweet, energetic face in a way that I'm sure wasn't meant to be creepy, and they spend roughly 5 hours discussing in mundane detail why they're going to the Yaku village. Maybe 5 hours is a slight exaggeration, but it still goes on for way too long. Here's the actual runtime of this drawn-out bore-fest. And here's how long it should have taken.
Master Shuga has filled me in already. Did you have any luck?
I searched all of Oginoshimo, but no sign.
I shouldn't have let him slip through my grasp.
Star Reader, I'm just glad to know for a fact that he's still alive and well. Zen, sir.
What's this?
What you are looking at are the goods the errand boy delivered to the spear wielder.
So she meant to embark on a journey.
These provisions would have only lasted them 3 days. They couldn't possibly cross the Misty Blue Mountains with this much food.
Might they not be heading for Rota or Sangal?
There's any number of inns between here and the border. Why pack what they could just purchase along the way?
Now, what possible impetus to travel to the east? There's nothing out there, save a handful of Yaku settlements. Yaku settlements? But of course! How did Akan Balan come to know so much? She must have gained this knowledge from the Yaku.
It makes sense.
We first crossed swords with a woman close to a Yaku settlement, in some fields near Yashiro village. Guess she had a Yaku accomplice in addition to the errand boy.
I don't think they'll revisit their old haunt now that we're onto them.
Well, your theory is duly noted. The Rota and Sangal barriers will be watched day and night.
Master Shuga.
Something else, Mon. I cannot help but think that this formidable bodyguard has run up against exactly the same dilemma that I myself am now facing. That dilemma being information. It is my belief that she needs to find a fresh source of it, the same way that I do.
Wow. Amazing what filler can bloat, huh?
Balsa ridicules Chagum for being tired, a pointless character reversal from what she said at the beginning of the show, which causes him to once again reasonably demand information on anything at all.
Just how is this aid more important than my brother dying?
Later, when there's time.
What? And Chagum actually takes that? What the fuck do you mean when there's time? You're walking! What is taking up all your time, Balsa? Does it require every ounce of your brain power to put one foot in front of the other? Is that how it works when you're made of wood?
What's the matter?
We're lost.
Oh. Okay, well, now that they're going to stop, they'll have plenty of time to— Oh, fuck off! I am constantly amazed at how lazily this show is written. It's like they were so directionless that every single scene is written into a corner before it even gets to the page.
Hey, Will, I'm getting pretty hungry. I could really go for some chimichangas or something.
Yeah, me too. It's been a while.
Yeah. I guess we can't just abandon the review, though. We need, like, a really good excuse.
Yeah, you're right. Sirac 74 is paying for this and all.
I'm bored.
Good enough for me. Let's do this.
Sweet.
We'll have to tell him about it sooner or later. We can't keep him in the dark about it forever. He'll need to learn the truth.
We cut to Johnny Young Bosch, whose head is being devoured by a very old Pac-Man before blah, blah, blah. No one cares! They just decide to keep going in the same direction. What is the point?
As if the writers came out of their haze and realized they'd been fucking off for the entire series, we get a montage of the group traveling, with the best soldiers in the history of ever always one step behind. Finally, they arrive.
Uh-huh. And old man Kunda. He was always really nice to my whole family. So I could tell right away that you were related to him somehow, Tanda.
What? What is this witchcraft? How are you capable of walking and talking at the same time? Burn the heretic!
By the way, what's in that jar, sweetie?
Oh.
Souls! Would you like to see?
Then, this happens.
This thing here is called an end-of-the-road charm. See the Naji bird bones festooned all along the length of the rope? You rattle them to prevent evil spirits from passing through.
Okay, so they just hung up 1,000 bird skulls at the gate of their village. How quaint. Yep, this definitely isn't the start of a horror film. Yep.
What happens next is a ceaseless dialogue discharge about Nainga whatever, literally explaining every single thing we already know about the water spirit and what's happening with Chagum. There is no new information, nothing that matters. The only thing that happens after way too much time wasted is that Chagum finally finds out that his destiny is to die. Well done, Balsa. You couldn't have failed him any more thoroughly.
Okay, great. I can only assume that the Yaku people are going to do some really cool magic and wow us with their power and... Will, you have a line here. You're supposed to cut me off with no. You're supposed to cut... Will. Hello? Earth to Will. Is anybody home? Will. William. Will.
Ah! Jesus. Today on Animerica, we'll be looking at Kill la Kill.
Oh, what are you doing? What? Dude, we're still on Moribito.
Oh.
No, Will, come back. No, come.
That was the day she lost the boy. Sadly, the next morning he was found torn in half from overwork.
The group discusses at great length why the guardian of the spirit has to die, which leads us to the most hilarious non-answer possible.
In the third verse, it says, "Fly, Naji, fly, take the water egg and go. Fly high above the claws that rip from below."
It might mean that a Naji will rescue the Nyungaroim's egg and carry it to the sea, whereupon the spirit will hatch and bring rain to the land.
Alright, so, just so we're clear, this water god, or whatever, plants its egg in a chosen one, whose destiny is violent dismemberment in hopes that a bird might happen upon the gruesome scene and retrieve the egg. In the midst of the ripping and tearing, what if the egg goes flying into the air? What if the bird doesn't catch it and it smashes back to Earth? This doesn't strike me as the type of spirit who would divinely intervene with a plan this shitty, so... What?
Do I really have to spell it out for you?
Yes!
And so it has been passed down through the ages. Your mission, as given by God Almighty, shall be to pass the knowledge on to our scribe Jebediah, so that he may share the word with all others. However, God will not be protecting you on this quest. He shall not keep you safe from the many perils, including bandits or vagabonds or packs of badgers. You will most likely fail. Shall you accept this mission of God?
Fuck this!
Good help is so hard to find these days. Bring in the next moron.
But wait, it gets even better.
I always used to watch Naji as they flew south for the winter. It was like an ocean of wings up there in the sky. But that was years ago.
Ever since Yogoan started forging steel, they've been rare.
This is like the anti-Princess Mononoke. Those humans and their evil industry, all the birds just died somehow. Does that make any sense to you? Are they forging steel over every inch of the countryside? Are they using Naiju corpses to stoke their engines? You know, I think I've figured out why they're actually rare. It might have something to do with you slaughtering hundreds of them just for your stupid welcome sign. Maybe after you butchered them, flayed them, and put their corpses on display, they weren't so hot on coming around anymore. Ever think of that?
Even their bones. I use them in charms, but they're hard to come by now.
What? So you did hunt them to extinction, and you still do, even though they're extremely rare. But no, it's the evil steel that did it. Somehow.
Tanda proposes that they flee somewhere far away to keep Chagum safe, but Balsa instead demands that they take a stand and fight. Unfortunately, she forgets to share this plan with Chagum, who tries to flee somewhere far, far away to keep safe. Balsa confronts him and the two share an emotional moment, realizing how much they truly need each other. But not before Balsa bitch slaps him straight to hell.
Holy shit! He got some fucking hang time! That was incredible! I guess sometimes the best thing you can do is slap some sense into a person. When it's a woman too, right? Oh, what, no? Well, fuck you too then, you sexist douchebags!
In their absence, the ninja crew arrive to retrieve the prince, formerly known as Prince, but even though Private Bloodthirst again wants to murder for no good reason, Granny explains the entire situation to Shuga, and even though they just threatened to slaughter the entire village, they agree to work with the Guardians at the spring equinox. Thrilling.
After much fleeing and not making a stand because there's no longer any stand to make, the group settle into a cave for Balsa to tell Chagum her life story before the episode ends.
JT! What? It's finally here! The story has been foreshadowed for the entire series! I know! I can't fucking wait! You know what it's gonna be? A huge disappointment! Yeah!
Yes, it's finally time for Balsa's backstory. And would you believe it sucks? There's a right way to do flashback episodes, okay? You started off with no shots of the person telling the story. You show us the events as if they're being presented to us directly. That way, you duck the question of how the storyteller knew anything that didn't involve him or her directly. Yes, it's cheating on a meta level, but it still works. Instead, what we get is endless, needless, lazy narration that dominates the screen and makes it borderline unwatchable.
My father, Karna Yonsa, served as personal physician to the royal family. I was too young to realize it, but as I look back, I see that my father was already caught up in the situation that would prove his undoing. My father was the chief physician to the king of Kanbal, and he'd been ordered to poison him by Logsum, the king's younger brother who wanted the throne for himself. He soon realized that once the king was gone, our lives would be in danger. My father knew too much for Logsum to let him live, and by extension, so did I.
We're only 1 minute in and already this story is falling apart. Look, there's nothing wrong with a single line of narration as a transition, but you basically just vomited your entire life story up to this point in a paragraph. There's no development for us to see now, no possible displays of affection for his daughter that would make us feel something in the moment like we want to. It's just been told to us by a monotone, indifferent drone. Fantastic.
Furthermore, her dad is an asshole.
My father knew too much for Logsum to let him live, and by extension, so did I.
Why would he tell his daughter a bunch of shit that would ruin her life and make her a target? I don't feel bad for this guy at all. What a shitty parent.
Balsa, the men I've been working for have asked me to kill the king. I decided that I cannot do it because I'm a complete coward, completely incapable of protecting you. Now that I've told you this secret, they'll probably be after you too. It's not my fault, I just have no one to talk to. Dad, I'm over here! Oh, I'm sorry, honey. It's just that I'm under a lot of pressure and I don't have a lot of time. Dad, seriously? This is so unfair. You know I can't tell the difference. If that's even you, why me?
There was no one to whom my father could turn. He was alone, except for the one friend in the palace he could trust with anything. That man was Jigoro. He was my land's biggest hero, the shining hope of Kanbal.
Very soon, mere days perhaps, I will administer to the king one final dose of poison. So be it, but Balsa must not share in my fate. There isn't another soul I could trust with this, only you, Jigoro. Take Balsa, take her and flee this country.
Jigoro thought a moment, opened his mouth, and said no.
Seriously? You couldn't just show the ending of the conversation? You couldn't let us experience the moment of her father being refused? Was that too intense for the babies? In your story of political double dealings and child murder.
Later that very same evening, royal soldiers appeared at our house. Logsum must have guessed my father's plan and decided to tie up loose ends early.
Yes, no shit. I'm not kidding when I say that her narration dominates every second of this episode, so we're gonna spare you from it. You're welcome. The long and short of it is that they flee, but are pursued by the members of Jiguro's former garrison. Because he's a master spear wielder, he kills them all with the greatest of ease, but it slowly breaks his spirit as he's forced to kill his friends and former brothers in arms. However, ignorant brat Balsa just thinks he's a really cool badass because understanding conversations she hears in full are too difficult for her tween wood brain.
So what did Loksum tell you? Kill the man who conspired with the physician to kill the king? Something like that?
Huh?
I know that bloodshed without provocation sickens you. Taking up arms is always your last resort. Your wife and children are hostages, aren't they?
I'm glad that you finally found something worth protecting.
It wasn't until much later that I found out why Jigoro had broken down and cried.
How hard is it to possibly understand? You had all the information you needed and you were well within earshot. This is what the show thinks of your intelligence. It really is for babies.
I mean, we've been following it perfectly.
Yes!
It's almost like an imbecile could have written it.
I know!
Wait.
Anyway, even after Jigoro explains everything to Balsa and she understands perfectly, she still manages to be a total fucking idiot.
I asked Jigoro to teach me the martial arts.
Jigoro, please teach me how to fight like you do.
Then he told me of the significance. It will be significant.
The other guy, he goes for the hand holding the spear. Remember that, Jigoro? That's when you dodged his attack and let go of your spear for a second, then...
Yes! Oh my god,
So
amazing! 10 out of 10! Anyway, to make a long, protracted story much shorter, Jigoro trains Balsa. Then, several years later, he finally gets cornered by the remaining members of his regiment. So what does Balsa do? What's the payoff for all her training and advancement in the martial arts? Given that she's told us she killed so many people in the past, you'd expect her to jump in, take them on, and demonstrate her unparalleled skill, right?
Go, Balsa. I want you to hide in those rocks over there.
Right now, I want you to take Mimuri over there behind that rock.
Oh. Okay, sure. So there was no point to any of that in this story. Just establishing that she was taught in general. Something we already knew. Great, of course. Storytelling!
Of course, Jigoro kills them all in order to defend them against certain death.
He wouldn't let me stain my soul with senseless killing.
I'm sorry. What?
He wouldn't let me stain my soul with senseless killing.
The soldiers attacking them, even though they know they face certain death, is senseless. They know that they're serving a corrupt king, and they do it anyway. They are the ones without any justification. Jigoro was just defending himself and Balsa. That's about as much justification as you can get.
God damn it, JT!
What the fuck?
I told you the time for making sense was over, so shut the fuck up. You're out of your element.
Don't you say it! Don't you fucking say it.
You're out of your element.
Even though this entire flashback could have been efficiently told in one episode, Moribito naturally overbloats it into two. And it's this episode where everything falls apart. After Jigoro soundly destroys every single one of his assailants, Balsa gives us this.
The lives I mentioned the night I swore to protect you were those of the king's spears Jigoro had slain.
Oh, so when you told us that you were trying to atone for 8 people that you murdered, you were lying. Why? Balsa has said that she took up the vow to atone for her own sins. Granny basically took her head off with accusations of her killing dozens of people. But according to this version of the story, Balsa has never killed anyone ever. She immediately took up the oath the moment Jigoro died. What is the deal with this woman? Why does she go out of her way to make everyone shit on her? Does she get off on being treated like a mass murderer? What the actual hell?
I can't sympathize with a character who belligerently insists on being painted as a horrible person when they've never done anything horrible. I just don't follow. First, Balsa threatened the queen's life for no reason. Then, she wanted the blacksmith to assume the worst about her. Most recently, she intentionally antagonized Shuga instead of letting him help, which she is now doing anyway. On a constant basis, Balsa has done everything within her power to make herself look as despicable as humanly possible. And for what? Why would anyone want people to think that they're the dregs of humanity? I just don't get this show anymore. I don't get what it's trying to do or why it wants to do it. It's a complete mess. Pure and simple.
Yes, they were coming to kill us, but those men didn't deserve to die just because Loathsome felt like tying up a couple of loose ends.
So then, why didn't you stand there and let yourselves get killed? I mean, they didn't deserve to die, so why did you kill them? Oh, right. It's because they were trying to kill you and Jigoro was defending you.
It's amazing what you have to warp out of perspective to justify this self-righteous Vision Quest crap. The men came to kill you. When they did, Jigoro tried to talk them out of it. He tried to be diplomatic and end it without violence. But that didn't work, so when they attacked and tried to kill him, he fought back. You want proof that this was the right idea? I present Exhibit A, Balsa dying on the side of the road in the rain.
If the script hadn't leapt in and dictated that a soft-handed, mollycoddled babby prince could suddenly climb a mountain and somehow not get permanently lost in a vast forest and then somehow not drown, she would have died. And if this show was even 1% realistic, she fucking would have. Then there's the other time where you had to dive into the poison mist because they would have killed you there too, and once again, the only reason you didn't fucking die was because the script said otherwise. This show has presented no valid counter-argument for not fighting back. It just wants you to think it's really, really smart because you hopefully forgot that it's really, really lazy.
Back in the way back, Balsa totally wanted it, but before she could hop on Pop, he died from grief and overwork. Or something. There's a chance none of this is accurate. Chagum walks out, wielding a walking stick or something, and demands that Balsa teaches him to fight, leading to a montage that ostensibly lasts the entire winter. You know, I feel like the last 10 episodes could have been a part of a montage, and nothing would have changed.
I've always been hesitant to bring it up. I figured I should wait until you'd fulfilled your promise. It doesn't matter, though. No matter how long I waited, you'd never notice. A good fight is the only thing that gets your heart beating, isn't it?
Wow. Relationship drama. They're that desperate.
Hey man, even herbologists have needs, and from the looks of things, I think he really wants to plant some seeds.
Okay, enough.
He really wants to fertilize that soil.
We get it!
He really wants to till
I know!
Sex.
Chagum gets triggered by overwhelming boredom and goes somewhere else in his head to a terrifying fantasy world. Man, that is one hell of a coping mechanism. This kid is so fucked up.
No, it's actually supposed to be the spirit realm or something, but before there can be any tension, the scene ends. Wow, this was somehow even less exciting than when Girl got lost. At least she was there for several days. Chagum was there for like 10 seconds.
Shuga talks to Master Cockeye about something. I'm not sure what because my brain rebelled during this scene and wouldn't let me pay attention. Whatever, Balsa's hot. I'd still hit it.
When did we last have snow? Do you remember?
As I recall, it was around the 1st of the new year.
I never could have imagined that this sky, so blue and pristine, would fill my heart with such a sense of dread.
Wow, it's spring already?
Yup.
You know what that means, right?
The show's almost over?
It's time for a huge spear fight! This is going to be a climactic showdown for the ages. An epic final battle for the fate of the world. This is going to be exciting. Right? Right?
What spear?
Granathon reads the script only to find that the water god is dead. Well, better get to splitting Chagum in half.
The Imperial Army do an about-face, but it doesn't take, so they do another about-face before we cut to Balsa and Chagum still bored in the mountains.
Well now, you're finally starting to look more like a man, aren't you?
Yeah, he's got a rat tail and everything. Definitely becoming a man.
He should. Chagum is 12 years old now.
Well, that's when your penis starts growing. You'll have one before you know it. Careful around 18, though. That's when it sheds and grows in bigger. This is all science. Yes, I am still very drunk.
Chagum gets dressed for his adventure in the wilds of Hyrule, and Balsa marks the occasion by giving him an even smaller pussy dagger. You know, she's got a point. Get back in the kitchen before you hurt yourself, Chagum.
17 conversations later, the show starts laying it on really thick that Balsa feels a motherly bond with Chagum and that she should totally play house with Tonda. How much will this all matter at the end of the day?
Not at all.
You win, JT. Now you have to watch the rest of the show knowing that it's leading to nothing but disappointment.
Oh.
Eventually, the group arrives at the place of child killing, where they encounter the royal army, which surrounds them for no reason, because they're on the same side. Then, this.
Ararunga's weakness is fire.
Yes, you heard right. Water is weak to fire. Water is weak to fire. Water.
This is what I was talking about way back when that stupid fire spirit shit happened. This is like saying that a sword is weak to my intestines. Even the stupid babies in your audience have played Pokemon and know this is stupid. Why not just drink the Nyunga Rochaga? Just spend the winter building giant straws. It would make more sense than this.
Chagum, the true son of God, runs out across the surface of the water and eats the spirit flower because I guess he wants the spirits to be able to kill him? Someone help. I'm going through logic withdrawals.
Crab people arrive to get Chagum, but luckily, fire keeps them at bay. Chagum makes himself a giant rubber ball to save his fledgling penis before sprinting off into the woods. Well, good. This could not have gone any worse. You all suck.
Meanwhile, because Shuga sucks at everything, Master literally has a cock in his eye, realizes that they translated this one smashed tablet wrong from the very beginning. So he gives a sentry 2 other tablets and sends him after Shuga. What? The episode ends. I don't. What? Is? Very good. No. Wait. Huh? Great. Alright, time for an epic chase! A final battle! This is gonna come right down to the wire! It's gonna suck, isn't it?
Everyone gathers to arms as Shuga prepares to lead them in pursuit of the prince. It's a race against time to save the day.
There's no way that you'll be able to catch up with them. You should just leave the pursuit to that bunch over there. And the 2 of us ought to be spending this precious time exchanging information.
Oh my god!
The 2 of us ought to be spending this precious time exchanging information. The 2 of us ought to be spending this precious time exchanging information.
Who is this anime for? I want to know because someone needs to die for its sins. Every time there's an ounce of a chance that something exciting might happen, some asshole crams their big mouth into frame to guarantee that everyone stands still and does nothing. Because that's entertaining. What a great climax. Tell us then, what's this all-important information that they just have to stand around and exchange instead of being, heroes?
Just as the spell they had cast was on the verge of finally succeeding, a Rurunga suddenly appeared from Nayuk one more time and tore the poor child apart.
Ooh, so it's just more shit we already know?
Damn it all to hell.
My thoughts exactly. The only line that matters in this whole mess is this.
There was nothing anyone could do as they watched it expel a glowing blue orb from its mouth.
Really?
After that, something called a nodule came and carried the blue orb away.
I suspect it's talking about a Naji, the birds in the Yaku rice planting song.
Oh, I see.
I'm sorry. I lied. We already knew that too. How could I forget the birds in the folk song? Where are my priorities at? I must have just gotten tired from hearing the same exposition over and 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 over.
The best I've got is that Balsa talks about how they managed to lose the prince's footprints. Prince's prints? Eh?
No.
Okay, well, then they decided to just waste 2 minutes deciding to stop standing there and go back to chasing the prince. This is a piece of shit. This is comedy gold I'm giving you. Then we immediately cut to Prince Chagum talking to his stomach god. I'm just gonna go to sleep now.
Had you chosen to, you could have killed all of us that night.
There was no reason, at least not in particular. See, I had just agreed to save someone's life, so killing others in the process seemed to me like it would defeat the purpose.
If it had been because you looked down on us, I had planned to settle the matter right now to redeem our honor.
Because I can't stand being condescended to. It's a huge pet peeve for me, okay? Yes, our motives really are that juvenile.
The sentry arrives in impossibly swift fashion to tell them that the ritual needs to occur somewhere else entirely. So do they race off to help protect the prince? No, they stand around and do more nothing. Time to skip all this shit. I'm done caring. Finally, half an episode later, they encounter a Rurunga and attack with full force.
Wait! It won't work unless the Rurunga is trying to interact with Sagu.
With who?
Sagu!
Do you mean Chagum?
Sagu!
Sagum's been dead for like 89 episodes.
Sagu!
Man, the English directors apparently got so bored that they forgot the main character's name. If that doesn't say it all, I don't know what does.
Anyway, Tonda manages to be the first person in the entire series to put 2 and 2 together using the wine flower to bring about an end to the Rurunga. In awesome fashion.
Oh my god.
What did you do?
That was
How
so...
were you able to touch that?
So...
Really? Are you sure? Yes. Okay.
So here it is, the ending to the whole shebang. I should be here to tell you only about the final battle. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. But instead, we have to deal with this because the show just couldn't resist the urge to exposit more in the climactic finale.
Madam, that bear.
Yes, I see it.
Did they not?
Nope.
Fine, but they must have.
Nope.
God, this is so stupid!
Yep.
Congratulations, Moribits! You managed to destroy your entire story at the worst possible moment. How did they do this? Well, as much as we've talked about how we're napping or too bored to watch, we actually paid very close attention the whole time. And now, it's going to pay off by having the whole show fall apart. I'm sorry, I forgot why this was a good thing.
Basically, the entire story from the very beginning was that Chagum was the chosen one. He was the one and only protector of this egg that could save the world. That's the only reason we were expected to care about him in the first place, because he was special. Well, I guess fuck all that. Apparently Chagum was no more special or qualified to protect the egg than a random bear in some forest somewhere. That makes sense.
Moribito, bear of the spirit, I guess. What?
Yes, it makes sense in that the entire plot up until now has been a total lie. The only reason this scene exists is to demonstrate that the Rurunga would kill Chagum before dawn. Well, thank God for that, because you somehow managed to make the Rurunga into a massive plot hole as well.
Before this moment, I was under the impression that the Rurunga went after the Nayunga eggs for some kind of sustenance, or maybe it was a delicacy that only came around once every 500 years, so they were tripping over each other to snack on it. That would make sense for a predatory beast in search of its most valuable prey, at least to some degree. But no, stupid me, instead these spirits are just evil. They just want to kill the chosen protectors and watch the world burn. So do they possess some kind of higher intelligence? Why do they care? Why are they so invested in trying to prevent this world from carrying on as usual?
Hey, what's that? What's that on the ground over there? Is that the script?
Either these crab beasts are actually evil crab people, and that line isn't a joke, or they make no sense and are just a plot device to bring the show to a conclusion. Either way, I no longer have any reason to care about any of this because it's such a convoluted mess, and they've eliminated the least reason for me to be invested in Chagum.
I guess being weeded out like that is just a part of the process of natural selection.
No! Bullshit! It's either a singular event foretold by ancient prophecy or a mundane natural occurrence. It can't be both. Is Chagum the chosen one, the only hope for planet Earth who must successfully deliver this egg or all life will end? Or is it, whatever happens, happens? This matters because if the former is true, then this Nayunga Roim is a sapient being with a vested interest in the survival of this planet and all life. But if it's just part of the natural order, then it's just an animal with no higher intellect spraying jizz everywhere once in a great while. I'm guessing it's the latter, which is so disappointing I don't think I can accurately describe it with human language. Good work, Moribito. It may have taken you 24 and a half episodes of staggering around drunk, but you finally managed to fall on your own sword. A winner is you.
So yeah, wow, that was a hell of a thing. Anyway, the final battle ensues, but then these Rurunga, who would literally die for the sake of stopping the water spirit from ascending, back off because the sun rose. I guess they have respect for the way the game is played. Sure, why not? Tanda extracts the egg and Balsa throws it to a bird. There, they save the world, I guess. Hooray, or something. Fuck off.
Okay, final episode, go. Wait, we're finally here? Yeah.
Why are you still disappointed?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Oh. Okay, well, let's finish this.
This last episode is as directionless as anything else in the entire story. Surprised? Then fuck you. Chagum returns to the palace, but because the evil rich are feeling extra evil that day, they reward the heroes with a tiny coin purse and some trinkets before forcing them to leave through the poor people exit. Yes, really.
That path is more suitable for the likes of you.
Aren't you taking this too far?
Just go.
Wow. Why is this the note we want to end on? Anyway, Balsa gives a final heartfelt goodbye to Chagum and everything returns to normal. Lastly, in a baffling sequence of events, Tonda decides to wait for Balsa forever because he is a super cuck and she rides off into the sunset. Why? Who knows? She completed her protection pact, so I have no idea what else would be forcing her to wander. I guess she just needs to be independent or something. But then why did we have an entire subplot about her secretly desiring to be a mother? Guess that was all for nothing. Anyway, that's it. Show over. Story over. Thank Christ.
You know, I haven't seen a series this boring since Hibine Renmei. And that was the last time, too, that a show had such a great set of ideas and then pissed them away on pathetic, shallow execution. So bad.
Yeah, I would have preferred a caning.
Okay, and on that note, this anime is... It's just mediocre. Meh.
Despite everything else wrong with the show, the art is actually pretty high quality and it's consistent all the way through. The musical score is also, at least for me, doing a very competent job of trying to elevate what's happening. Unfortunately, that's basically an impossible task because it ends up getting drowned under the weight of everything else. But these 2 points alone are enough to keep this from being called one of the worst anime ever.
That said, the characters, dialogue, story, lore, and overall world design are incredibly inept. Balsa should be our window into this supernatural world that we wouldn't understand going in, but instead she's bland, lifeless, and completely uninvested. Chagum is by far the most likable character because he's trying really hard and his character actually evolves throughout the series. Unfortunately, he gets rendered borderline irrelevant by that heedless, thoughtless bear scene at the end, and with him returning to his throne, we have ostensibly abandoned him to a hopeless early death from stress and overwork. How wonderful!
The rest of the characters are so irrelevant that once their usefulness to the plot ends, they just disappear forever. They don't really bring anything special to the table, which is why we barely used their real names. Why bother? The story is told in the most blunt, heavy-handed way possible, and the lore of this world is presented in such a boring and dry fashion that it's impossible for anyone but the most dedicated to pay attention to it all. They apparently knew this, which is why so much of it gets repeated over and over again. The real problem with the world is that I have no idea where anything is in relation to anything else. An overhead shot of a map tracking from one place to another to give us a sense of scope now and again would have been perfect, as we would have gotten some sense of why it was taking so much time for everyone to get everywhere. Then again, maybe they didn't want us to understand it so that they can manipulate the world to make everything take whatever amount of time they wanted. You decide. I have no faith in these writers, so I choose the latter.
As for that dialogue, someone posted a theory in the comments section on one of the previous videos that it was copy-pasted straight from the radio drama that came before this anime. Well, if that's the case, what a disastrous brain killer that was. This is a visual medium. You need to use the visuals to tell the story, at least partially. By having everyone just say everything out loud in the most obvious way possible, you eliminate any reason we might have to pay attention to the world itself and the art depicting it, rendering all of it worthless. In the end, it's a boring, sad, pathetic mess that should have been great. And of course, that's the worst part. It should have been great. 3 out of 10. Do not pass go. Just take a nap instead.
Well, we did it. We finally did. Oh, man. Well, as always, this has been Animerica Unlimited. I'm Will Ryan.
I'm JT Kamp.
And the next time we see you guys, it'll be for Cover by Cover Season 4.
I mean, unless someone out there wants to give us a bunch of money to do another one of these. What the fuck? Why didn't you silence your phone?
Fuck off. Okay, great. We gotta redo the take. You fuck up your line anyway. Jesus. What? Don't say it. Is it real?
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun.